Good morning. It is Monday, November the 22nd. I'm Pearson Bowen with the CBC Morning Report. The police are investigating the death of Jagadesh Mirchandani after he was found hanging by his neck last evening. The 45-year-old of number 9 2nd Avenue, Valley View, Walker, St. George was pronounced dead at the scene of the general merchandise store Daily Depot on Tudor Street. The police say they received a telephone call at their operations control room around 4:30 in the afternoon that a man was found hanging from a rope that was attached to the roof on the 3rd floor of the building. A medical doctor visited that scene, pronounced Mirchandani dead. Investigations are ongoing. Meanwhile, the police have officially identified the female body that was found yesterday in an advanced state of decomposition in St. Thomas as being that of missing 30-year-old Samara Kemisha Kimel Bristol. A family member made that identification. The discovery comes after a long search by authorities over the weekend for the missing woman. Crystal Hoyle filed this report now after the body was discovered, but before the positive identification.
Investigations into the disappearance of Samara Bristol have led police to the discovery of a female body in the area of Mangrove Dump in St. Thomas.
In terms of the investigation pertaining to the missing lady Samara Bristol, you remember she was reported missing on Wednesday the 17th of November. Our investigations led us to a location here in St. Thomas, just adjacent to the Mangrove Dump, along a Carrot Road and a bushy area, where we discovered the body, human remains of a female. The body is described to be in a state of advanced decomposition.
As a result of the state of the body, police could not at the time confirm the identity, but Inspector Innes was able to share this.
We can say that we have good reasons to believe that it might well be connected to the missing person, Samara Bristol. Our investigations led us here about 9:45 this morning, and this is following up some intensive searches that we had yesterday throughout the parish of St. Thomas, where we came up empty-handed. But our further investigation, as I said earlier, led us to this discovery.
A man continues to be questioned in relation to the matter. Crystal Hoyt, CBC News.
Chief Executive Officer of the Barbados Agricultural Society, James Paul, believes Barbados must produce more of what we consume. He made the comment on yesterday's Public Affairs Department's program One on One. Mr. Paul believes this is one way that the country can start to tackle the problem of constantly rising grain prices that are affecting livestock farmers. He says one specific area of increased production could be chicken wings.
If we could take over that our local producers could satisfy in terms of normal and healthy poultry, it would also be able to increase the quantity of corn that we buy and also help us to demand a better price when we are purchasing. Consumers will benefit then, because then the cost of production will go down and we'll be able to be more competitive in our price for local poultry. So that is what it is. And I think that these are the hard facts that we have to understand. And I think if we are serious going forward, we need to, as consumers, we need to understand, as the producers, we need to find ways to help, to move in that direction.
Mr. Paul adds that continued price support from government to help offset the cost of grain and feed products for farmers is therefore important at this time.
Unless somehow the major grain producing areas of corn and soya are able to increase the quantities that they are producing, and unless we are able to satisfy the insatiable demand of China for these products, because remember, Chinese before did not eat any meat, but in order to grow animals, you have to feed them grain. That is the hard facts of it. Although we have some people down here seeming somehow they could do something different, that is, and unless science proves otherwise, that is what they will be fed. Okay, so the Chinese are having an impact on the market, the prices will go up, and we have to adjust to that.
Meanwhile, there's growing concern that many Barbadians are still turning a blind eye to those they know are engaging in predial larceny. Mr. Paul notes that as a consequence, it is hampering any progress authorities are making in stamping out the scourge. He says until society reaches the point where authorities drive fear into the people committing the act as a deterrent, they will continue to commit the crime.
One of the sad things about our community is that we are still willing to tolerate, and I use the word tolerate, yes, pre-dealers. I think that I have come to the conclusion that there are certain sections of our population who are willing to tolerate pre-larceny.
When you say tolerate?
In that, look, turn a blind eye to what's happening. We know, for instance, I would tell you that even existing legislation is good. I don't think that it is not a question that it is not working. Sorry, it's not working. That it is not a good piece of legislation. But how many of us are prepared to adhere to the legislation and its enforcement?
Mr. Paul contends that people still continue to buy the stolen produce even though they do not know where they came from. He further contends it makes no sense giving police the powers to arrest, but then authorities have challenges in prosecuting the case.
We put a lot of pressure on the police to actually try to discover instances of pre-larceny. But let's be real, unless they get the information that they need to prosecute persons who are involved in it, they can't do it. We have situations where people buy produce in this country from persons who they are not sure whether or not they have come into the possession of that produce by legitimate means, and they don't put steps in place in their operation to ensure that, you know what, if I'm buying from a thief, let me try and make sure that, let's just report this thing.
This is the Morning Report. We'll take a break here and we'll come back with our COVID-19 updates. Well, the number of people who have died from COVID-19 in Barbados has risen to 211, with the death of 3 Barbadian men and 1 woman. 2 of the males, ages 67 and 83, succumbed to the illness while at the geriatric hospital. They were both fully vaccinated. The other male, who was 67 years old, died while at the Harrison Point facility. He was unvaccinated. The men all succumbed to the virus on Saturday. The 93-year-old female who died at Harrison Point yesterday was fully vaccinated. A total of 172 new cases of COVID-19, 80 males and 92 females have been reported for Saturday, November the 20th. This as the Bestos of Santos Public Health Lab conducted 1,360 tests. The new positives comprise 30 people who are under the age of 18. There are now 804 people in isolation and 7,553 in home isolation. Barbados has confirmed COVID-19 cases recorded since March last year, standing at 23,795, broken down into 11,392 males and 12,403 females. Meanwhile, under the National Vaccination Program for COVID-19, the total number of people with at least one dose is 152,756. The total number of people who are fully vaccinated is 134,530, which is equal to 58.9% of the eligible population. The West Indies Rum Distillery is continuing to provide important supplies of sanitizer and medical alcohol for government in the ongoing national fight against COVID-19. Operations Manager and Master Distiller with West Indies Rum Distillery, Don Ben, says from very early in the pandemic, government approached the company to assist with the production of the imported products. He says they've remained committed to that production.
We had the equipment to do it, we had the supplies, so we made the relevant adjustments to our process, and I'm proud to say our team really stepped up to that, and we were happy to donate to government agencies. So far, I think it's just about approximately $1 million worth Barbados dollars in donations we've made to the Barbados government, various entities, the prison, the fire service, the police, the isolation centers. And we continue to do this because we are still not out of the pandemic. But we think that we can be a partner with the government. Obviously, we would like the government to partner with us on a number of initiatives as well. But we are really proud as Bajans to be helping our country to be through these troubling times.
Well, coming up on Morning Barbados today, when you join me for at 6:30, we'll continue that conversation with the Barbados Agricultural Society as we look at food crops and cultivation or production. What are some of the challenges and what can we do to increase our food production? In our conversations at CARICOM, as Barbados begins to transition to becoming a republic, what does that mean and our status in CARICOM? We'll talk about that as well. And a little later on, we'll meet the people who have written some fantastic books right here in Barbados. We'll introduce them to you and a whole lot more at 6:30. We're going to take a break right here and come back with more on the Morning Report. Diversification, the development of a sustainable model, improved data collection methods and standards are just some of the changes needed in the local tourism industry. These suggestions were raised recently during a virtual panel discussion hosted by the Barbados Hotel and Tourism Association on the topic Barbados Tourism Development Model, Are We on the Right Track? Rianne Phillips reports.
For just over 2¼ hours, the panel of 4 discussed the current realities, trends and challenges for the local tourism product. Examining whether the country is on the right track, tourism consultant Dr. Kerry Hall suggests a new model is needed, as the current one, which is based on the sea, sand and sun concept, reflects the era of the 50s and 60s.
I don't think the model we have right now is sustainable, and we need to go in that direction because the world is going in that direction. The consumer has also pivoted, and we also need to be able to go in that direction too. I believe we have reached the point in Barbados where we should be developing a year-round. I know we have tried to do that for many years, where we've tried to bolster the trough periods for a very, very long time. But somehow, other than crop over in summer, the other periods, the October, November, and probably the March, April, we have kind of failed to develop a year-round tourism industry.
CEO of the BTI, Stuart Lane, also agrees with the need to shift from a seasonal product.
4 months of the year to feed you for 12 months of the year, that's not good arithmetic. And when we did our research on this, we found that it is a function of design, right? What happens in the summer? Families travel, MICE market, meetings, incentives, conferences, and events. So if you don't have a capability of hosting events or meetings, or you can't really accommodate incentive groups, or you can't really accommodate families, then you're out of the business. You're not going to have summer business.
There's also a call for increased and improved data collection and provision of stats.
We do have statistical problems in the country. In fact, having a hotel in St. Lucia, I've realized that there's a lot of statistics in St. Lucia available to us on a weekly basis as far as the performance of the industry is concerned.
The panel also heard from senior UWI tourism lecturer Dr. Sherma Roberts, who's concerned about the need for culture changes at some establishments. She also believes there are generational gaps between staff that have to be addressed. Rianne Phillips, CBC News.
The Clean and Green project is being seen as an avenue to stimulate green commercial activity within Barbadian communities. Environment Minister Adrian Ford believes these green spaces present valuable opportunities for individuals to generate income through entrepreneurship. He's urging Barbadians to tap into their creativity.
This project allows for green commercial activities. An important part of the dimension and the landscape of Barbados, the cottage industry. Barbadians must, now more than ever, in the era post-COVID, the most serious pandemic since the 1980 Spanish flu, must have the creativity to be able to help support themselves and their families. And when I speak about the cottage industry, what am I speaking about? I'm speaking about the ability to have small produce and to sell them to be able to make money to support your family.
To deliver those remarks at the official media launch for the Clean and Green in Eden Lodge. Branch President for the St. Michael North constituency, Davidson Ishmael, says he's eager to see unutilized green spaces transformed into recreational and commercial hubs in the community.
Very excited this morning with the prospect of partnering with the Clean and Green team to be able to revitalize and to transform this area and to turn it into a green space and a recreational space that persons can now live and enjoy and come here and enjoy the peaceful and tranquil surroundings and be able to recreate themselves. I look forward to being able to see little children playing on this spot again. I look forward to seeing them running around, and as their mothers and their fathers sit on benches, watching them, and they're surrounded by beautiful fruit trees and by beautiful palms and other types of trees that will be planted here on this spot. I look forward to seeing this spot completely transformed.
One of the Combermere School's icons, former principal Charles Pilgrim, has passed away. Chair of the Combermere School Board, Dr. Alison Leacock, has lauded Pilgrim's lifelong contribution, both to Combermere and education in general.
Charlie, as we all called him affectionately, attended Combermere for only 2 years as a child, but his contribution is indelible on the school's pages of history. As an educator at his beloved Waterford University, he earned the respect and adoration of generations of Combomerians. His effortless intellect and roaring wit, blended with his deft doses of discipline, gave him the unique ability to be a monumental force. As a young man, he applied for a job as a teacher at several secondary schools, but it was Combomere who welcomed him into the family as a temporary teacher. That temporary decision would lead to an everlasting relationship, becoming deputy headmaster in 1972, and after years of love, dedication, and commitment, he rose to the post of headmaster in 1981.
Well, help is coming for the region and for Barbados and other countries to reduce rates of harmful drinking. The Pan American Health Organization has launched the world's first digital health worker to specialize in alcohol and health, dubbed PAHOLA. PAHO stresses PAHOLA is not intended to replace direct contact with health professionals, but aims to encourage people to seek help. Director General of the World Health Organization, Dr. Tedros Ghebreyesus, says new technologies, including artificial intelligence, are powerful tools for expanding access to information and care.
Last year, WHO introduced the world to Florence, a digital health worker to help people quit smoking. Now, we're proud to introduce her sister, Paula, to help people assess their alcohol risk, cut down on their drinking, or seek treatment and recovery. Alcohol contributes to 3 million deaths globally each year, and to disabilities and poor physical and mental health for millions of people. It is the leading risk factor for premature mortality and disability among people aged between 15 and 49 years.
Director of Non-Communicable Diseases and Mental Health at PAHO, Dr. Anselm Hennis, says PAHOLA can simultaneously talk with millions of people who wish to assess the health risks of their drinking. He is optimistic the technology will augur well for the future.
We hope that this innovative approach to health promotion can serve as a springboard for future digital health initiatives. And you've heard about the significant capacity being developed globally, but as one of our panelists said, it's almost like the Wild West. You need to have it based on evidence with the ability to monitor and follow what is happening. So basically, in this space, we hope that this can lead to a better understanding of how this technology can help us in our pursuit of healthier populations and our overarching goal of health for all. Paola's success depends, as you have heard, on us making use of her, consulting her, and also contributing to her improvement.
PAHO has also launched the Live Better, Drink Less public education campaign to raise awareness about the harmful effects of alcohol in the Americas. Geologists suggest the eruption of St. Vincent's Lasso Frere volcano has ended. After months of heightened activity, the volcano on April the 9th entered an explosive state. Head of the Lasso Frere monitoring team, Professor Richard Robertson, however, notes residual activity will continue for some time.
Which means we can have and do have periodic earthquake activity. The configuration of the summit area have changed, so there's a lot more steaming, a lot more hotspots in the crater itself. And of course, the volcano produced a lot of loose material, so that we've said before that there's going to be the ongoing problem of mud flows, lahars, and generally the mountain went through, in a sense, a traumatic experience, just like a lot of people in St. Vincent did. And it's going to take a little while for it to, reshape itself and get back to what it was.
Let's turn our attention to sports now. It's day 2 of the first test, West Indies versus Sri Lanka in Galle. Before we get to the current score, let's go back to the overnight position when the hosts were 267 for 3. Going into today's play, which started at midnight Barbados time, Roston Chase had taken 2 for 42, while Sri Lankan skipper Dimuth Karunaratne was unbeaten on 132. We have highlights up to that position. And 40 runs. Stay with us here at CBC and our newscasts as we'll bring you further updates on the progress of that first test, West Indies versus Sri Lanka. National chess champion, international master Orlando Husbands gave Barbados an early independence gift recently after he tied for first place at the Venezuela and Caribbean Islands subzonal in the Dominican Republic. The event, which was a qualifier for the 2023 FIDE World Cup, featured 2 Barbadians among 71 players from 9 countries. Husbands, who was the 3rd seed, finished unbeaten on 7.5 out of a maximum 9 points, to tie with homeboy and top seed international master Jose Lisandro Munoz Santana for the top spot. Meanwhile, Justin Blackman ended with 5.5 points in 15th place. Let's take a look at our forecast conditions now, recorded at the Met Office, the Grantley Adams International Airport, a little earlier on this morning. Just to give you a sense of what you can expect weather-wise today, whether it be hot or whether it be cool. At the moment, we're at 27.2 degrees Celsius under partly cloudy conditions. The winds are coming from the east at 24 kilometers an hour. If you're heading to the beach today, expect a low tide at 17 minutes to 11 this morning, and again at 5 minutes to midnight. One high tide is at 9 minutes to 5 in the afternoon. Seas are today predicted to be smooth to moderate in open water, with swells ranging from 1 to 1.5 meters but remaining steady. In the forecast, Barbados today will be a mix of sunshine and clouds with a few brief localized scattered light showers across western and central districts this afternoon. While tonight should be a mix of clear skies and clouds with a few brief isolated light showers. And there's a look at some international cities forecasts. And that's our morning report. I'm Pearson Bowen. Morning Barbados starts now.
Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Barbados, get up. Good morning. Good morning, Barbados. Good morning. Good morning to you. Good morning. Morning, morning, morning. Good morning to you. Good morning. Morning, Barbados. Good morning. Good morning to you. Good morning. Morning, Barbados. Good morning. Wake up, wake up, wake up. Morning to you.
And a very good morning to you, everyone. Yeah, I'll transition nevertheless. But good morning, all. It's November the 22nd, 2021. We're just mere days away from Barbados becoming a republic. And certainly this morning, we will be looking at that in our conversations on CARICOM. Ta-da! Look how it works. Conversations on CARICOM, looking at Barbados' place within the region as we transition to becoming a republic. But grateful for your company today. Thank you so much for joining us here in Barbados and across the globe. Thank you for watching our YouTube channel. I urge you to like our Facebook page as well. We're seeing live there. We post a lot of our information there as well. For those of you who keep calling, asking for updates, that's where you go, to our Facebook page, Morning Barbados on Facebook. Also today, if you're looking for your pot of gold, well, the Rotary Club South of Barbados, they're going to be hosting a scavenger hunt, all part of independence celebrations, and we'll hear from them just how that will unfold and how you could be a part of it. We'll continue our conversations on childhood obesity, raising awareness and what we as adults can do and how we can encourage our children to choose healthier options. As we joined with the Heart and Stroke Foundation of Barbados to continue our conversations on childhood obesity. And we'll meet some authors of some tremendous books who will share their points of view with us this morning. But let's get started by going to meet with the Barbados Agricultural Society. We're joined this morning by James Paul, who is the Chief Executive Officer, and Peter Chase, the President of the Barbados Agricultural Society and Fruit and Vegetable Growers Association. We're looking today at food crops and cultivation. Good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning, Barbadians. Morning, Pearson.
Thank you so much for joining us. This is such a critical conversation that we're having because we all eat, and we all eat to have healthy options. But Mr. Paul, let's look at what's happening today because supply chains are having some challenges. There's some bottlenecks over there. And how are we now as it relates to food production as we go into this very busy period of the year?
Well, you know, I would say that at the moment, the farmers are doing what they normally would do. They're having some challenges this year because, as you mentioned, there are some challenges in terms of the supply chain. And as a result of that, you've had difficulties in some cases, especially in terms of the increases in costs. And that in itself has been very challenging to farmers this year, especially in the fruit and vegetable field, where, of course, you have a situation where suppliers from time to time have actually, in some cases, nearly double prices on farmers for certain commodities. And farmers then have had to make adjustments. So there have been some difficulties, but the kind of land preparation that is required for the production of commodities, that has been there. So farmers have taken the opportunity in the period to actually prepare themselves. And of course, you know, going into the Christmas season, we all know that Barbadians like to have a good Christmas, and farmers actually bargain on this particular period of the year where they could at least maximize their sales of locally produced agricultural commodities to Barbadians.
Could I interpret that to mean that we are at a good stage where we are right now for delivering local foods to Barbadians for Christmas?
Well, I would say that because, you know, again, there are some products where we've had some difficulties with during the year. For instance, you know, tomatoes have been, and I know the President might even want to comment on this one. We had some difficulties this year when it comes to tomatoes, largely because of the fact there have been some challenges in terms of the type of varieties, and also some of the pests that have been interfering with them. And of course, therefore, that was an anomaly. But you know, we had an excellent year, I would say, when it comes to crops like watermelon, sweet potatoes, and I know that we're getting some very good sweet potato crops coming up very late on in the year. We expect also to watermelon crops should be doing very well. Of course, crops like cucumbers, the normal crops like lettuce, a lot of the normal crops that Barbadians, of course, are accustomed to, they will be available.
Mr. Chase, your comment, I want you to assure us that we should be comfortable to know that the things that we love to have, that we should have in a good supply for this season.
Yeah, thanks, Pearson. Barbadians, we are prepared. We will deliver. We've been doing a lot of planning at the Barbados Agriculture Society. We've been working with BADMC and the ministry, and we are best prepared. I think, though, that I must tell you, we are a water scarce country, and we sometimes are challenged, but we've given it our all. The government is making sure that they build the necessary dams, um, the river plantation in St. Lucie as well, and we are ready. Or James alluded to sweet potatoes. We have abundance of watermelons. We haven't really imported a lot of watermelons this year. Butternut squash is there, lettuce, cucumbers, as James would have mentioned. The challenge with tomatoes is that um, could be the seeds. We've had tomato minge, but we are working on it with the ministry.
We also heard Mr. Paul talk about some pests. What are those pests and how have they really affected the delivery of food crops?
Um, we work closely with the ministry, as I said. Um, we have the right chemicals. We're speaking to the Massies, the Carters, and we're having seminars educating the farmers of what to do and what not to do. But we will be ready this Christmas with food crop.
That's great. Consistency of production. Obviously, you know, we've had rainfall a little strange this year, heavy in some parts of the year, and then a little later on we had what feels to me like a drought. So talk to me a little bit about consistency of production. What are some of the challenges you're encountering so that we remain consistent in food production?
Well, James would have alluded to the cultivation. We are working on cultivation. The government would have given us some assistance. We have new equipment. They spent $7 million with BAMC, BADMC, and the ministry. The private farmers have their own pieces of equipment, and we've had the lands tilted early, and we are basically ready. We have a planning schedule. The BAS is 150 years old. We've been doing this over and over again. In fact, last year, when COVID struck, we were the ones that made sure that we were able to feed Barbadians. And we will continue this year to provide that necessary food crop and to keep Barbadians healthy. And also to create the jobs necessary in this COVID environment for the young people. So we're working, we're doing our plans, we have production plans, and things are working to plan.
Mr. Paul, help us understand then, so how we are avoiding situations of glut in one particular commodity versus another. How do you manage so that we are all able to earn and all still supply the demands of the consumer?
Well, what we try to do is to ensure that farmers work with each other. That is why we actually do focus group meetings at the BAS. And also we go up there and we communicate with farmers as to exactly what are their planting schedules. In that way, we are able to understand, okay, what is the plans, what are the plans, of the farmers as they go into the year. Because, you have to avoid a situation, as you referred to just now, where we have planting gluts in any particular commodity. This did not work out too well this year, for instance, in a crop like cucumbers, because, cucumbers actually fell to less than 50 cents a pound in some cases, and we had a situation where farmers actually had to give away, in some cases, cucumbers. That was the situation. But I found, though, that in other commodities, they actually didn't do too badly. There were some gaps sometimes, say, in terms of watermelon production, but it has to do with communicating with each other, understanding what are people's production plans, and we have to do it sometimes, at least in a quarterly period. So every quarter you want to know exactly, okay, what are your production plans going on? The challenge, of course, has to do sometimes with crop failure, because in some cases, either because of, say, drought in an area, or, for instance, pests or some of the things. What happens is that is what we is crop failure. One of the things that we need to know from farmers constantly is, okay, what is the likelihood of that crop failure? Because at the end of it, we will want to plan to ensure that, for instance, others could actually fill the gap, because that is very important. So the whole thing about production planning, production scheduling, and we do have a program which actually have already launched with the UN, in which it is going to even further enhance the management information systems that we have at the Barbados Agricultural Society. So it is things like these, basically, that we will be able to identify and work with the farmers better, so that, for instance, they understand what role they have to play, and we don't have any crisscrossing, because we really want to avoid a situation, as we refer to, where we have the gluts, and of course then we have the shortages.
Yes. Investment, because a lot of times, a lot of people sit and think that agriculture is an easy thing. Toss a seed into the ground, it should grow. I mean, it's going to rain, so it should grow. But it's not that simple. What are the challenges to investment so that we see the kinds of returns that we're all hoping to achieve, so that we feed our people?
Investment. Go ahead, James. Go ahead.
Well, certainly, you have the challenges are the normal ones. Predatory larceny is a challenge when it comes to getting people to invest in agriculture. Of course, the monkey situation is one I would not also want to miss, because we seem to forget that they are a menace to the farming population, especially when it comes to crops. In addition to that, too, of course, this whole question of being the market, what is the market like? And sometimes what we need to do is to recognize the value chains that exist with agriculture, the extent to which we incorporate ourselves into the established value chains, because sometimes there's this perception that farmers belong on the fringe. So, for instance, constantly when people talk about marketing agricultural produce, the basic concept is that you have a farmer's market or something like that outdoors. But farmers markets alone cannot provide the type of market that, for instance, will require for the offloading of a large amount of agricultural produce. That is why we find, for instance, operations such as the supermarkets and the established wholesalers and retailers play a critical role in helping us to offload agricultural produce. And we must not think of it as something where, for instance, you could rely on just a normal farmer's market to do it. That will just not cut it, and it will just not do it, because, in a sense, those supermarkets that are there take off a considerable amount of local agricultural produce at the same time. So the absence of that will pose a problem, because a person who's thinking to invest, if he does not see, look, where's my market, where's it going to be, he's going to be reluctant. And at the same time, if we do not do things to actually address the whole challenges of the monkey population, trying to curb the numbers, and of course the whole question of predatory larceny, that also will pose some challenges when it comes to investment.
Yes. Mr. Chase, you wanted to comment on that?
Yes, I want to congratulate the supermarket industry, because it could be a burdensome task in terms of investing in agriculture. But recently, I'm seeing the supermarkets paying us the agriculturists a lot better within a week period. So we are able to return that money to our programs and our projects, and really turn over the crops and pay our wages,
Yes. That is so critical. That's a very good point on which we can end this morning, though. Mr. Chase, Peter Chase, who's the president of the Barbados Agricultural Society and the Fruit and Vegetable Growers Association, and Chief Executive Officer James Paul. Thank you so much, gentlemen, and well done in your assurance of all of us that we are at a good point when it comes to food production for this holiday season coming up. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, and very good to see you too.
Likewise.
Have a good day. Yeah.
Thank you. Morning Barbados continues right after this.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you. Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
13 minutes now to go to 7 o'clock here on Morning Barbados as we turn our attention to our conversations on CARICOM. Joining us, as always, is His Excellency David Comishong, who is Barbados Ambassador to CARICOM. Good morning to you, Ambassador.
Good morning, Pearson. It's a pleasure to be here.
Thank you so much. Now, this thing is on. We are days away from us transitioning as a republic. Yesterday alone, I went to the rehearsal for the big event that's going to be happening on the 29th, the night of the 29th into the 30th. And just to watch and to feel the excitement already, and that was just a rehearsal. We could well imagine when we transition to being a republic, how electric that night will be. So what do you think, putting all of this into context, and that's just part of my excitement building, I'm so sorry to share it with you so early in the morning. But Barbados becoming a republic within the CARICOM model, what do you think it would be our standing, and what do you think others can look on and gain from all of this?
Thanks, Pearson. Well, I'm sharing the same excitement with you. But just before looking at the CARICOM context, just permit me to quote one piece of the Constitution, one change that has been made that really brings home what it means to be a republic. Okay, and I am talking about the oaths. Oaths of allegiance and the oaths that prime ministers and ministers. Now, this is the Barbados Independence Constitution. This is the Constitution that was amended just last month. And just last month, before the amendment, this is what our oath of allegiance said. Okay, so this is David Comishong, for example, giving the oath. I, David Comishong, do swear that I will be faithful and bear true allegiance to Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II, her heirs and successors, according to law, so help me God. Now, this is the amendment that we made just last month. And under our amended constitution, this is what I would now say. I, David Comishong, do swear that I will be faithful and bear true allegiance to Barbados according to law. So help me God. And I go back to the old constitution. This is what the Governor General would have said under the old constitution. I do swear that I will well and truly serve Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II, her heirs and successors in the office of Governor General, so help me God. Let's go to the new one. The new one, this is what our president will say. I do swear that I will well and truly serve Barbados in the office of president, so help me God. The prime minister will say, I do swear that I will be faithful and loyal to Barbados, and I will uphold the Constitution and the law. So this, in a nutshell, is what we're doing here, sir. We will no longer be swearing to allegiance and to obey and to serve the Queen of England, her heirs and successors, and instead we will be swearing allegiance to Barbados, its constitution, and its laws. And I want to also bring out that we will be swearing under the majesty of Almighty God. I see some people trying to manufacture another bogus issue about God and the Republic. Well, the oath itself tells you that we are swearing to God. I mean, there's some people who would wish to affirm, you can affirm as well. And there's no change to the preamble of the Constitution. We have retained the preamble, which says the people of Barbados proclaim that they are a sovereign nation founded upon principles that acknowledge the supremacy of God. So, Pearson, I think that encapsulates in a nutshell the change that we will be making, or that we have made, and that we will formalize on the night of the 29th of November. When we do so, Barbados will become the 6th republic in the Caribbean community.
Yes.
At present, there are 3 other Caribbean community states that have done like Barbados in moving away from the Queen of England. That's Guyana, Trinidad and Tobago, and Dominica.
Yes.
And then the 2 other republics are Haiti, which became a republic way back in 1804, and Suriname. So Barbados will now make number 6. Within the Commonwealth is the club of former British colonies. There are 53 nations within the Commonwealth. At present, there are 38 of those nations have already moved away from the monarch of England as their head of state. So Barbados will become the 39th nation within the Commonwealth that has moved away from having the Queen of England as their head of state. And so I believe that what Barbados has done is going to be an encouragement to the other Caribbean community states that still have the British monarchy as their head of state. Many of our CARICOM member states will be present, will be represented in Barbados at that ceremony on the 29th of November. We've sent out invitations to all 14 member states. 10 have already responded. Of that 10, they virtually 9 of them have indicated they will be represented. One is still to come back with a firm decision, and about half will be represented at the level of the head of government. So our CARICOM brothers and sisters are taking this very seriously, and they're indicating that by their presence at our ceremony on the 29th of November.
And I think that should calm our souls a little bit, because there's no isolation as a consequence of the transition. If our CARICOM brothers stand shoulder to shoulder with us, it says we will continue to be a part of this grouping known as CARICOM.
Oh, of course. I mean, well, even the heir to the British monarchy, Prince Charles, will be here with us, indicating again that there's not bitterness or animosity in our move. This is just a very natural evolution. I'm amazed at some Bajans. Some Bajans are talking as if the 55 years that we have been independent, as if that does not exist. Barbados developed a House of Assembly in 1639, Pearson.
Yes.
Almost 400 years ago.
Yes.
And yes, it was a white-dominated House of Assembly, but we had black people in the House of Assembly from 1843 when Samuel Jackman Prescott first entered. Black politicians and political parties have had responsibility for running Barbados since the Bush experiment of responsible government way back in the 1940s. In 1650, Barbados declared independence of Britain in 1650, and actually fought a war of independence. And when they were forced to come to terms with Britain, they insisted that the British government recognize the principle of no taxation without representation. In other words, you, Britain, cannot tax Barbados unless we consent in our House of Assembly. That was done 125 years before the American colonists picked up that. 1966, Errol Barrow, we will be friends of all, satellites of none. 2002 to 2005, we moved away from the Privy Council and established the Caribbean Court of Justice as our highest court. So that is Barbados,
yes.
A sophisticated, self-respecting, self-reliant country, and so all that we are doing now, we are saying, look, rather than having a Governor General being the representative of the Queen, the Governor General will become the President and will be our head of state, not representing anybody, not acting as anybody's agent, but our own Barbadian, democratically elected head of state.
Well, we're just days away. I know this coming Tuesday and Wednesday in the Houses of Parliament, the debate on the Charter of Barbados, I think it's critical that we all pay attention to hear what is involved there, to get a sense of who we are, because as you just outlined, the history, I think, needs to be told. There are a lot of what you've just said, a lot of people just don't know. And just so we understand more about who we are and our place within everything and what we've been able to achieve over the centuries, it is critical that we pay closer attention, and so we can understand and respect who we are as a people as well. Ambassador Commission, I've got to leave it there. It always feels as if the clock works against you and me every Monday morning. But nevertheless, I'm so grateful for your contribution. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Always a pleasure, Pearson. Thanks.
Indeed. Thank you too. Ambassador David Commission, Barbados Ambassador to CARICOM, reminding us it's a change in the oath of office, of allegiance, and certainly we want to be there as part of that recognition of that change as well. Come November the 29th, look out for the excitement. It's going to be quite electric. We're taking a break here. When we come back, we'll update you on the news.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you. Morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
It is 1 minute after 7 o'clock as we take a look once again at the news. The police are investigating the death of Jagadesh Murchandani after he was found hanging by his neck last evening. The 45-year-old of number 9 2nd Avenue, Valley View, Walker St. George, was pronounced dead at the scene of the general merchandise store Daily Depot, located on Tudor Street. Police say they received a telephone call at Operations Control around 4:30 in the afternoon that a man was found hanging from a rope that was attached to the roof on the 3rd floor of the building. A medical doctor visited the scene and pronounced Murchandani dead. Investigations are ongoing. Meanwhile, the police have officially identified the female body that was found yesterday in an advanced state of decomposition in St. Thomas as being that of missing 30-year-old Samara Kamisha Kimmel Bristol. A relative made the identification. The discovery comes after a long search by authorities over the weekend for the missing woman. The number of people who have died from the COVID-19 virus has risen to 211 in Barbados, with the death of 3 Barbadian men and 1 woman. 2 of the males, ages 67 and 83, succumbed to the viral illness while at the geriatric hospital. They were both fully vaccinated. The other male was 67 years old. He died while at the Harrison Point isolation facility. He was unvaccinated. The men all succumbed to the virus on Saturday. The 93-year-old female who died at the Harrison Point facility yesterday morning was fully vaccinated. Well, help is coming for Barbados and other countries in the region to reduce rates of harmful drinking.
Last year, WHO introduced the world to Florence, a digital health worker, to help people quit smoking. Now, we're proud to introduce her sister, Paula, to help people assess their alcohol risk, cut down on their drinking, or seek treatment and recovery. Alcohol contributes to 3 million deaths globally each year, and to disabilities and poor physical and mental health for millions of people. It is the leading risk factor for premature mortality and disability among people aged between 15 and 49 years.
Well, the Pan American Health Organization has launched the world's first digital health worker to specialize in alcohol and health, dubbed Paola. PAHO stresses Paola is not intended to replace direct contact with health professionals, but aims to encourage people to seek help. Director General of the World Health Organization, Dr. Tedros Ghebreyesus, says the new technologies, including artificial intelligence, are powerful tools for expanding access to information and care. Director of Non-Communicable Diseases and Mental Health at PAHO, Dr. Ansam Hennis, says PAHO can simultaneously talk with millions of people who want to access the health risk of their drinking. He's optimistic that technology will augur well for the future.
We hope that this innovative approach to health promotion can serve as a springboard for future digital health initiatives. And you've heard about the significant capacity being developed globally. But as one of our panelists said, it's almost like the Wild West. You need to have it based on evidence with the ability to monitor and follow what is happening. So basically, in this space, we hope that this can lead to a better understanding of how this technology can help us in our pursuit of healthy populations and our overarching goal of health for all. Paola's success depends, as you have heard, on us making use of her, consulting her, and also contributing to her improvement.
PAHO has launched the Live Better, Drink Less public education campaign to raise awareness about the harmful effects of alcohol in the Americas. Geologists suggest the eruption of the St. Vincent La Soufrière volcano has ended. After months of heightened activity, the volcano on April the 9th entered an explosive state. Head of the monitoring unit, Professor Richard Robertson, however, notes residual activity will continue for some time.
Which means we can have and do have periodic earthquake activity. The configuration of the summit area have changed, so there's a lot more steaming, a lot more hot spots in the crater itself. And of course, the volcano produced a lot of loose material, so that we've said before that there's going to be the ongoing problem of mud flows, lahars, and generally the mountain went through, in a sense, a traumatic experience, just like a lot of people in St. Vincent did. And it's going to take a little while for it to, reshape itself and get back to what it was.
Well, that's our news until now. Don't forget you can join us on radio at 8 o'clock here, all the stations of the CBC at 8 o'clock on radio for the next newscast at 12 noon on CBC TV 8 for Newsday. We're taking a break here. We're back with more on Morning Barbados.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you. Morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
9 minutes after 7 o'clock, it is time for you to get on your phone now to give me a call on 228-5562 or 228-5563 because it's time for today's Crumbs question of the day. And you call me. Here it is. The question is, who sculpted the Emancipation Monument at the St. Barnabas roundabout there on ABC Highway? Who was that? Who did that? Who sculpted that monument? Who sculpted that monument at the St. Barnabas roundabout there on the ABC Highway? Do you have a clue? Well, if you do, give me a call on 228-5562 or 228-5563. Let's have some fun with this. So who sculpted the Emancipation Monument at the... Y'all scared? Don't get frightened. It's a simple question. Y'all know the answer to this one. In other words, who sculpted Bassa? Who sculpted Bassa? That is the question. That's all I really want to know from you. Good morning to you. Hello.
Good morning.
Hi, how are you doing?
No, not too bad.
Oh, that you're doing well then. That's fantastic. What parish are you watching us from?
St. James.
St. James. And what's your first name?
Andrea.
Hello, Andrea. Pleased to meet you today. What is your answer for me, Andrea?
Carol Boohagen.
That is a question, Andrea. I want an answer.
Carol Boohagen.
You see how the difference in inflection makes a difference?
Yes.
There you go. And are you sure it is Carl Broodhagen?
Yes, yes.
What makes you absolutely certain?
He's one of the well-known sculptors in Barbados.
All right, I'm one of the well-known speakers in Barbados. Doesn't mean I'm the orator. So, what makes you so certain?
Because of his reputation.
That has nothing to do with the reputation. It got nothing to do with it. How do you know that he was the body who went down there and sculpted Bassa?
Well, not actually go down there.
Yes. Sorry?
No, he didn't
How
actually
do you
go
know?
there. He was sculpted at his workshop.
And you know this because you were there.
No, you read those things.
Because you read about that. You read that.
You never read about these things.
It was Carl Broodhagen who sculpted Bassa. You read it in the newspaper. Or did you read it? Where did you read this thing?
It was many years ago. I can't remember where you read it.
Andrew, you're getting forgetful, you know. You are getting forgetful.
Because of age.
I know. It's happening to me too. You know, you reach that right, beautiful age where you're allowed to forget. And it should be okay to forget, right?
Yeah.
Well, Andrea, you are so right. It is indeed Carl Broodhagen. Well done. And you know, I wanted to tease you.
Yeah, I know you like
Andrea?
to tease me. I know you like to tease me.
What? Bad. So have you been to Crumbs Bakery yet?
Yes, I have been.
Good girl. Andrea, you stay on the phone and we'll take some more details from you, okay?
Thank you.
You're welcome to. Andrea is absolutely right. She's correct when she says it was Carl Broodhagen who sculpted what we call Bassa, the Emancipation statue there on the ABC Highway. I can't recall the name of the roundabout attached to it, but people call it the St. Barnabas roundabout. But there is actually a name after who it was named. All right, we're going to take a break here. That's it for today's Crumbs question of the day. It's 12.5 minutes after 7. We're coming back with more after this.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you. Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
60 minutes now after the hour of 7. How good are you really at solving clues? How really good are you at solving riddles? Don't we all just love a good scavenger hunt? Well, the Rotary Club of South Barbados are having one. And so we're joined this morning by Rashina Homer, who is the Vice President, and Gabrielle Whitehall, who's the Finance Director of Rotary Club of South Barbados. Good morning, both of you.
Good morning, Pearson.
Now listen, Saturday coming, Saturday coming, Saturday coming. We're in the hunt. So talk to me about this scavenger hunt.
Okay, well, good morning again. This scavenger hunt is an annual signature event hosted by our club, the Rotary Club of South Barbados, in conjunction with our sponsor, Rotary Club, which is the Rotary Club of Barbados South. And this year will be the 5th year running for it. And this year it is going to go to proceeds are going to go to the Rotary Foundation. And pro tip here, as well as Independence Month, or I should say Republic Month, it is also the Rotary Foundation Month, the month of November. So we're really looking forward to, engaging in a fun time. As you said, who doesn't love riddles and clues, as well as also being able to give back to our foundation.
Those who are uninitiated, how does a scavenger hunt work?
Okay, so our scavenger hunt is going to take a hybrid approach this year because we are mindful of what is going on and the pandemic. So we want everybody to remain safe, but still have fun, still get outdoors, get some fresh air. So it is an island drive hunt. Basically, the team members, you can be a team from anywhere from 2 to 5 persons can be registered to be part of a team. You have your designated driver, and after the clues are shared on Instagram, you would go and try to complete the clues by visiting locations. There will be some trivia and riddles involved, like you said. You try to answer those correctly as best you can and upload all the information as instructed to the app.
Let's
So
walk
it
this
would
through.
involve,
Let's walk the hold on. Let me walk this through
yeah.
step by step. So we register my car load of 4 to 5 people. We are in the car now. And so to get my clue, my first clue, I must follow you on Instagram. Is that what I'm hearing you to say? And
Yes, you must.
on receipt of the first clue, I hunt, go scavenger everywhere till I find it and submit onto the app my answer, my response. Then I get question number 2 or clue number 2.
Well, all the clues would be shared at the
Oh,
same time and you
okay.
just complete. So it's also very flexible. We are mindful that, everybody might not be available at the same time, but it's on Saturday between the hours of 9 to 5. So
Oh.
once the clues are uploaded, you're free to go and you're registered. Only registered persons would have the clues, but you would be free to go and start the hunt. It's expected to take roughly about 3 hours. So you could start in the morning at 9 or you could start in the afternoon and have an afternoon family activity and just decide, okay, well, we'll start at about 1, but you must get your clues submitted by the end time at 5.
So how do you know who wins? Is it not the first? Would it have been the first person in, first set of correct responses?
Right, no. So this is not a timed race.
Yes.
The correct responses would receive points. So you will tally the points, and that is how you determine the winner. Now we know everybody is not going to get all of the riddles right, and some persons might not visit the correct locations. So that is
So,
how we would determine based on the point standings.
this sounds really fantastic, Rashina, and it's all part of the activities of the Rotary South Barbados clubs. Talk to me a little bit about what you're hoping to do through this particular activity on Saturday.
So as I said earlier, our intention with this activity is that we, cultivate that kind of Barbadian spirit as we're celebrating, another month, another November. And of course, it's a special one this year as we are on the road to Republic. So as Gabby said, it would be about, a nice family or a group of friends safely, of course, enjoying their time together as they hunt these clues. And as I said,
earlier as well, the proceeds from this activity will be going to the Rotary Foundation, which is the charitable arm of Rotary International, which helps to fund many projects, including polio plus grants, district grants, global grants, and even disaster preparedness grants.
So significant work that you do through the foundation, the Rotary Foundation. So we have until Saturday to register. How can we register to be a part of this scavenger hunt, indie hunt for Saturday?
So to register, we'll be doing registration online. Persons can visit tinyurl.com/indiehunt, capital INDEHUNT 21. So tinyurl.com indiehunt21, as is shown on the screen there. Persons can register, and also we encourage persons to check out our Instagram page at Rotaract South BDS, as well as our Facebook page, Rotaract Club of South Barbados.
And it's important to follow you on Instagram because that's where the clues will be posted for Saturday's activity. And you can see between up until, well, the early birds are done. So we're now into the per pair and per team. We're now at that point, folks, where you pay $60 a pair, or just about $90 for a team of 4. Am I right?
Yes, you are correct. 4 or 5 persons, 4 plus. So your full carload.
And in registering there at the carload, right? You go to that website, tinyurl.com, tinyurl.com/indiehunt21, and your registration is done there. In registering, you'll register how many people will be in your vehicle and perhaps your vehicle number as well. Is that how it works?
Yes, all the information would be listed on the form, and you just complete the form and submit your registration. And if you have any questions, you may feel free to drop us a DM or send us an email. Reach out to our club Instagram page, our Facebook page, if you have any queries about registration.
So if I woke up on Saturday morning and decided I want to register then, is that okay still?
Well, we would really like you to register at least by Friday, but we can still facilitate you on Saturday morning.
Yes. This is really fantastic. I really hope many smart heads come and join this. It's a great family fun. It's a great group fun. If you're a little youth group, if you're a church group, if you're whatever group, it's a great way. Because I suspect that most of your clues are going to be about Barbados anyhow. It's widening our knowledge about our islands. We head towards our 55th anniversary of independence. But most of all, we get to go some places that perhaps we've never been before. And we learn
And I'm
those
sure
places
you
as
would
well.
learn something. Yes, I'm sure everyone who participates in the hunt would learn something. Every year in the feedback, we always get that feedback. That person's learned so much about Barbados while participating in the hunt.
And they can't wait for the next one, right?
Yes, because there are fantastic prizes to be won. We have lots of prizes to be won.
So what can we win?
You can win staycations, catamaran cruises, grocery vouchers, gift baskets, all
day passes.
Wow.
So numerous prizes, yes.
That's a
lots of loot to be won.
That's a heavy treasure trove. This sounds fantastic. So we have the chance to win all of these very significant. I mean, who wouldn't do for a staycation? Who wouldn't do for a gas voucher to begin with? All of those wonderful things are in the treasure chest when you win with the Indie Hunt Scavenger Hunt hosted by the Rotary Clubs Barbados South. I really want to wish you the very best with this. I really hope it is bursting at the seams, but I want Barbados to have a really grand time. It's a safe way to go there to scavvy hunt, but it's a good way for you to gain some knowledge about our island as well. Remember to go to tinyurl.com, tinyurl.com. It's right there on your screen. As Rashina would tell you, it's at the bottom of your screen. You see it right there. And you already have it posted on your Facebook page and also your social media. You're on Instagram. Like the Instagram, join there because that's where the clues will come and you get a chance to benefit in significant ways as well. I wish you the best. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. Rashina Homer, Vice President of the Rotary Club of Barbados, South Barbados, and Gabrielle Whitehall, who's the Finance Director. All the best.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Morning Barbados will continue right after this.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you. Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
It's after 7 o'clock now as we turn our attention to childhood obesity but prevention, and that's what we're talking about now when we're joined by Maisha Hutton, who's the Executive Director of the Healthy Caribbean Coalition. She's also a member of the Barbados Childhood Obesity Prevention Coalition. Good morning to you.
Good morning, Pearson. How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you doing?
I'm well, thank you.
You're welcome. Now, it's a fact that children tend to gravitate towards sweet things. It's also a fact that we're responsible for training their palates for those sweet things as well. So now we're faced with childhood obesity, we're faced with diabetes at a very young age, we're faced with a whole host of health challenges, and we want to beat ourselves up where we could have fixed it from the beginning. And that's where you're trying to raise awareness, I suspect, with all of us and within community, that we need to stem all of this in the tide early.
Yes, we are. Thanks, Pearson. So I'm here representing the Heart and Stroke Foundation of Barbados, as well as the Heart Foundation of Jamaica. We've recently launched a regional campaign around front of package nutrition warning labels. And it's precisely to deal with the issue that you're referring to, these environments where we have, food environments where we have ultra-processed foods, foods which are high in sugars, fats, and salts, foods that we know from the evidence now clearly when they are consumed in excess, which we are consuming them in excess, lead to obesity and NCDs. And the fact that these foods are everywhere makes it very difficult for us to make healthy choices. They are cheap, they're widely available, and they're heavily marketed to children. So there are a number of different policies or regulations that we are pushing for to implement as part of a package to modify the food environments. And one of those policies is octagonal front of package warning labels. These are black octagonal labels, think stop signs, which indicate whether a food or packaged food is high in sugars, fats, or sodium, and really empower consumers to make decisions about the types of foods they choose. I mean, if we think about when we go to the supermarket now, all of the foods have various labels on them, claims about what they can cure, what they cannot help. They have this percent reduced sugar. And then the nutrition facts panel at the back is extremely difficult to decipher. You almost need a nutrition degree to do that. So this really simplifies it and really makes it easy for consumers to quickly and easily and correctly say, you know what, this food is high in this sugar or salt, and I shouldn't be eating it. I'm diabetic, I have hypertension, etc.
But it calls for a lot of education, I suspect. You know, it's well and good to have the label at the front, but I have to care about it, and I care about it because I know about it. And so where do we start the education so that children themselves can make those informed decisions not to take up those products that are sweet, salty, all of those kinds of things, but pay and heed the warning?
Well, I mean, it's really a package of interventions, right? So we need to implement policies which change the environment and give us the tools to make those decisions, while we also educate. We educate in schools, we educate through the communities. So the Heart and Stroke Foundation of Barbados does quite a bit of outreach in schools. They work with teachers, they work with parents, and indirectly they work with children, really educating them about the value of eating healthy. But I think we all know that we need to eat healthy. We all know, but we need help. We need help from the government in making those foods cheaper, in giving us the information so we know what kinds of foods are healthy or not healthy. Where this policy has been implemented globally, there's been a clear change, a reduction in the purchase of unhealthy foods. There's been an increase in awareness amongst children about, as you've said, which foods are unhealthy. You know, they know, mommy, we shouldn't, or daddy, we shouldn't be choosing the foods with the black octagons. So yes, it's a policy, but it's also education so that when those policies are implemented, we know how to best make use of them.
What's the discussion with producers of these products, though? Because, you know, they're saying market share, they're saying bottom lines, but you're asking them now to join you in this effort. What has been that conversation like?
I mean, the word you used is appropriate. It's been a conversation. Yes, there's been some resistance. But I think globally, we have, the highest rates of NCD, and when we talk about NCDs, diabetes, cancers, hypertension, heart diseases, in all of the Americas, the Caribbean does. We have some of the highest rates of childhood obesity in the world. So we know that we are in an urgent situation, and we've seen the dangers of this with COVID. Those who have disease, obesity or NCDs are much higher risk for death and mortality. So manufacturers of these products agree that we need to make changes, agree that we need to improve the food environment. So it's an ongoing dialogue around how to get there. There are some that are supportive and some that we continue to dialogue with around how we can reach, how we can reach agreement and consensus on the way forward. But, the main aim of these policies, first and foremost, is to address the scourge of diabetes, cancers, hypertension, obesity that we're dealing with, which is costing our governments. And in Barbados, these diseases cost $65 million annually in direct costs. And indirect costs related to things like absenteeism and loss of productivity, up to $150 million a year. So there are some short-term losses, but in the long term, significant gains. And I think we need to keep our eye on the long-term gains.
I think we also need to start sensitizing people within the snack aisles of our convenience stores about that octagonal warning label that we want placed on those products as well. I can well imagine, seeing someone just say, hi, I'm looking at the product. Have you considered what's in here? And begin to that education one-to-one, person-to-person, in a very friendly way, so that it builds a habit of taking time to read the label and taking time to understand what that octagonal front of package label means when we make our choices for our children and ourselves as well. So where does the campaign now go so that we get it into action and that people take it on board?
That's a great question. So the region, we are adopting these labels as a region. Barbados is one of the countries. We had a recent vote back in May across 15 member states, and Barbados was one of the 6 countries which voted in favor. So definitely a leader. The Minister of Health and Wellness, the Minister in the Ministry of Trade and Foreign Affairs, both of them have expressed their strong support for this policy. So this is a real opportunity for Barbados to continue to lead in NCD prevention and control and push forward. We're waiting to hear from the regional body where we go next, but hopefully where we go next is, as another vote, and we can rally support across the region, continue support with Barbados at the helm, and really push for these labels. Once they are approved at the regional level, then we work at the national level to convert that regional standard to technical regulations or a local policy, and that's when the boots on the ground begin, and we start to educate consumers about these labels and how they work, because we'll start to see them on our products in our supermarkets.
This sounds like a really, really active campaign. I can't wait to see it really blossom into its full potential. So for the moment, we want to have people join you in this. So how can people raise their collective voices so that you're not standing alone, and just agitate for its introduction? What do you want us to do?
We would love for you to reach out to the Heart and Stroke Foundation of Barbados and indicate your support. There are also numerous social media handles that you can support. So really just continue to support us as you see the campaign being aired on your social media handles. Like us, share, forward the information. We're really trying to get the word out about these labels so that we have a groundswell of support really from the public demanding the labels. That's what we need, to give politicians the space to go ahead and approve them. And also, if you are in the business sector or someone in the business sector, start to speak about these labels and how important they are.
I can't support you enough. You're absolutely right. Our support of our front of package warning labels is critical. As Maisha said, it's like the stop sign. We come to those, red, amber, and green, and we know what those mean. But when we come to those salty products, those sugary products, do we know what they mean? And this whole campaign really moves us to a position of knowing, so we're better informed and we're far more empowered to make better decisions, because in making better decisions we preserve our health and the health of our loved ones as well. Maisha, thank you so much for joining us this morning to heighten our awareness of the front of package labeling, and I really hope the groundswell is such that it really washes over those decision makers to move faster to implement. I really want to thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Thank you, Pearson.
You're very welcome. Maisha Hutton, the Executive Director of Healthy Caribbean Coalition and a member of the Childhood Obesity Prevention Coalition here and the Heart and Stroke Foundation of Barbados as well, front of label packaging, the octagonal sign is critical. Your support helps to move that forward. Here's hoping that you don't sit there and wait for someone else to do it, but you do it yourself by lending your support. We're coming back with more right after this.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
Nineteen minutes now to go to 8 o'clock. There's a man who says there are 8 success factors for a healthy life. 8 success factors for a healthy life. That man joins us now. His name is Edison Bino. Edison, good morning to you.
Hey, good morning, Pearson. How are you doing?
I'm doing well today. Thank you for asking. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. Thank you.
I want to know how do you know there are 8 success factors for healthy living?
Okay, well, first of all, I prefer to look at the factors as different areas. And so we want to look at the fact that there are different areas in which we can be successful. Sometimes when we think of success, we tend to limit it to people who are celebrities, people who are wealthy, people, who have seemingly arrived. But there are different areas in life in which you can be successful.
Okay, let's break them down because I think you've listed them as spirituality, family, finance, leadership, personal growth, health, relationship, and work. Why that combination of areas?
Okay, first of all, when I look at the spiritual area, it's important to understand that true success has to be spiritual. You have to have a relationship with God. And from being a pastor, being a Christian, I believe that that relationship with God is through having a personal relationship with the Lord Jesus Christ. So you can have temporal success. You can have all the money that you can possibly think of. You can have all the influence that you can possibly think of. But if you don't have a personal relationship with the Lord Jesus Christ, I think that there's going to be something missing from your life. And so even in the workplace, there is an increasing emphasis on spirituality because people understand that we're not only physical beings. We don't only have emotions, but we also have a spirit, and there's a need to connect with God. So that's the starting point for me, having that relationship with God. And then in terms of family, most of us are part of a family. We may have a father, we have a mother, we have uncles, extended family, and so on. And I believe that very often we don't emphasize family enough. But family is important. We need to connect with our families more. I've been married for 27 years. I have 2 wonderful daughters, adult daughters. And one of my passions in life is building a more intimate relationship with them, because when we come to the end of our life, one of the things that we would look at is the relationship that we have with our family. So I think is very important. Then we could talk about areas like finances. Now, this is not necessarily about being wealthy, but being a steward of what God has given you, being able to manage it effectively, being able to save it, being able to invest it, and so understanding that we can use money. In the book, I also talk about giving, because I think that when we are able to generate wealth, we should also be willing to give to people. So I believe in charity. I believe that we should give liberally to others. So there are a number of different areas, and there are a number of different principles that are given in the book to help people to become successful.
You've used your belief in God, you've used your Christianity to base all of your writings here. What examples from the Bible would you use that could best root people's imagination into what you're trying to say here about having a healthy life? Who one biblical character do you think best typifies what you're trying to say?
Well, there are several, but let me start with Joseph. Yeah, you could think of Joseph, and Joseph would have been betrayed by his brothers. He would have been put in a pit. He would have been sold into slavery. But even when he was sold into slavery, he was very successful. He found favor. He found favor with Potiphar. So wherever Joseph went, he was successful. The Bible says that the Lord was with him. And I believe that that's the basis, the Lord being with us. But Joseph went from...
That's his spirituality.
He went from being a slave. He went into prison. But in all of those circumstances, the Lord was with him. And eventually he became the equivalent of the Prime Minister of Egypt.
Right.
So we can see from his life that even though we may go through adversity, we can overcome adversity. We can become successful because God gives grace, God gives favor, God is with us if we rely on him, if we look to him, if we talk to him, if we cultivate that intimate relationship with him, then he will definitely help us in all areas of our life.
And even in their challenges, his family, he never looked past them. When they came to him for help, he was all embracing as well. He was able to manage his finances in such a way that during those times of famine, they had enough stored up. And we can go on and on and on. I like your example. I mean, there's also Job. That's another example. There's so many one could find.
Definitely.
In the
There's
Bible.
so many.
Yeah. And though you are the author as a pastor, it is not necessarily a scriptural text, is it, this book?
No, the reality is the book is very practical. The book incorporates a number of different areas that can be useful for even people who are not Christians. Like, for example, we talk about things like health, and we just had a guest from the Heart and Stroke Foundation talking about the dangers of all the sweet drinks and the non-communicable diseases and so on. And we have to take our health more seriously. Right now we're dealing with a pandemic, and we have to think about some of the practical things that we need to do to protect ourselves. So the book is not only looking at scriptures and scriptural, well, it's very scripturally based. It does have a lot of scriptural principles, a lot of scriptures, but it's also very practical in different areas of the book.
So it's a really good practical application to anyone's life today. So it makes easy reading, but it makes great results as well. If you want to live that healthy life, then you perhaps need to get this book, 8 Success Factors for a Healthy Life. Where can we get a copy of the book?
Well, the book has just been released, so believe it or not, I have not even received my first copy yet. So the book is available on Amazon.com. So you can go on Amazon, you can make your order, you can get it via Kindle, you can get it as a paperback feature. So you can buy it either way. It would make a good gift for Christmas.
It's one that's just changing lives. That's fantastic. 8 Success Factors for a Healthy Life, written by Edison Bino, a Barbadian. Go on to Amazon, search for it. You saw the cover of the book just now, so you know exactly what you're looking for. And when you do, purchase it not just for yourself. Don't be selfish, because that's also one of the principles for success. Don't be selfish. Give charity.
Correct.
You just heard him talk about it. Gift it to someone else as well, and let them too benefit in the significant ways that you will benefit. So we want to encourage you to get a copy of the book today and read the principles upon which a healthy life is founded. And I wish you only the very best to everybody. Edison Bino, thank you so much for joining us. Again, you too, I wish the very best with the book.
Thank you for having me, Pearson. You have a
You're very
great day.
welcome. Thank you so much. Morning Barbados continues after this. Eight minutes now to go to 8 o'clock. There's a little boy, he's 13 years old. His name is Adrian Manning, who will go to any length in search of his popularity. At some points, taking many risks. It's a book. Don't take it to be a true story. It's a book written by Mario Herbert. Mario, good morning to you.
Hi there. Good morning to you too, Pearson.
Good to see you, Mario. Adrian at Large is a book that you have written out. I want to break the front of the book right away so people can see what we're talking about, the risks to which Adrian will go. Look at Adrian hanging out the door on turbulence, bridge down seats and running. We're going. Mario, this is the graphic alone grabs your attention for this book. Talk to me about doing it in this way.
Well, I have always found that making things that are based upon real life, it helps persons to readily relate to it. So it was very important that when you see the book, that it screams Barbadiana to you. So yes, please, that's why it has gone in that route.
So this little literally in that route. So this little 13-year-old boy, Adrian Manning, you knew him?
No, I don't know him. a fictional character. However, as well, I have always found that real life situations are intriguing enough that they can form a really nice fiction basis. So there
Mm-hmm.
is a little truth that is mixed into everything you will read in this book.
Uh-huh. So this little boy took some incredible risks. What are some of those risks, and what are some of the outcomes having taken those risks?
Well, he boards the ride, as we would say, and that doesn't work out too well. I'm sure anyone that has had those days in school that has caught the ride up and their route would kind of get a ready understanding of the things that Adrian would have experienced. That if it is not a thing one is used to, the whole experience can be quite overwhelming.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, he tries to also impress his friends later in the book by crossing the Constitution River, and I'm sure anyone that has lived here long, they would remember that you were once able to actually cross the river behind the hospital.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't exactly a place that was meant for you to cross, so especially if it rained, it could be dangerous. So
Yes.
that also happens, but I would say ultimately his largest risk is his mother, because once again, I'm sure anyone growing up in Barbados knows that one's mother finding out about the things one has been up to is really a
Yeah.
really big risk,
It's the
and he
worst
has
prison
one of
sentence you
those
could
mothers.
find.
Yes,
The worst prison sentence you can find, mommy finding out. And so
yes,
it's
please.
one of those books where you see yourself through the character, Adrian Manning, but you see the solutions as well as a young teenager. So this book then is a good read for teenage boys, you suspect, or any teenager really.
Any teenager. I have worked with teens. This is 12 years now with the It's for Teens camp that is run by the Community Development Department.
Mm-hmm.
And in telling tales, I found that the kids were like always extremely engaged. That is boys, girls. So they really fueled me that I needed to get these in print,
Yes, yes.
and I have tried out the print also on them, and they have responded extremely well. So I wouldn't say gender is a thing,
Right.
but 13 to 18, I can guarantee you, your child, even if they aren't big readers, they will read this entire thing in a day. I can guarantee you that.
And this is only first part of so many more to come. Where can we get a
Yes,
copy
it
of
is.
Adrian at Large? Where can we find it?
All right. On shelf right now, Daya's Bookstore, Independence Square.
Mm-hmm.
And coming on stream will be Diana Dash.
Okay.
There should be on stream this week.
Right.
And you will also be able to obtain it anywhere books are sold on the World Wide Web. So
Amazon for
so
sure.
you can also do that. Yes, please.
All right. It is such a wonderful book. And it's so good that you're writing. Is this your first attempt at writing and producing a book? Publishing a book?
Yes, it is. Yes, it
Well
is.
done, well done. You've taken it by the horns and you've ridden this bull very well. Well done, Mario Herbert. I'm looking forward to even more in the series. This is only one of the 4-part series that you're producing. And something tells me it's not just going to be excellent reading, but it's good advice. And I hope that you become a very successful author in all of this as well, and that you learn from it too yourself. Mario Herbert, thank you for joining us this morning.
I thank you so much.
You are very welcome. That makes a really good book, for real. Adrian at Large, a story of Adrian Manning, who's a 13-year-old. It's great reading for any teenage child, male or female. You see yourself, and in seeing yourself, you also see and hear the voice of Mummy, even though you don't see her, and you know full well what you're doing wrong and what you ought to be doing right. And that's what makes it such an interesting teaching tool. So get it today. He says it's at Days Bookstore for sure. You can get it there. It's available online for sure, and some other places very soon will be making that book, access to that book available. So Mario Herbert is his name. The book is called Adrian at Large. Get it today. So let's get a look at some other things we want to remind you of today. We just want to remind you that the sheep farmers of Barbados Agricultural Society, they're having a free worming exercise in association with Massey Distribution. It's open to all sheep farmers. For more details, please contact the President, Maurice Grant, at 262-5766 or the Vice President, Ernest King, at 260-9630. We'll post this information on our social media page on Facebook. That's where you'll see it. Well, that's it for today. Thank you so much for joining us. Our little crew of Alicia Alves Grant, my producer, Roel Ford, our technical director, Christopher Bleman, our sound engineer, and Ryan Kennedy at Master Control. We thank you. And Tamisha Green as well. We thank you for joining us. The team looks forward to welcoming you again tomorrow. Goodbye.
Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Barbados, get up. Good morning.